In parts 1 and 2, the early Inland Empire music career of Riversider Rod Piazza was discussed. From the mid to late 1960s, he went from his Ramona High School band, the Mystics, to the House of DBS, to the Dirty Blues Band. In the 1970s to the early 1980s, he went from Bacon Fat to the Chicago Flying Saucer Band to the Mighty Flyers. Each early band reflected his love of blues music. We pick up the story in 2013. In 2013, Rod Piazza was named the 57th Alumnus of the Year for the Riverside Community College District. He was honored for his contributions to the field of blues music. He sat down for an interview to talk about his Riverside City College days.
Rod Piazza arrived at RCC playing music and left the same way.
Well, other than just the classes, I pretty much was playing music at the time, so I think I played for a few of the fraternities, but that was pretty much it. Just the classes and then playing music on the side, starting a career playing music.
But every class moved his career forward.
I think probably the music course was the one that meant the most to me, knowing that that's where I wanted to go, in life. And I think I had a geography course that probably helped me to go on the road, I guess. Music.
RCC helped him set a true course in life.
Coming out of high school, I think I didn't really have a definite direction, wondering which way I would go, other than knowing that it was going to be something to do with music. And I think attending RCC helped me kind of define where I wanted to go. I always knew I wanted to play music for a living. That's what I wanted to do. It was just inside me, and there was no other course. That was it. It's been the greatest thing that I could have ever done. I've traveled the world over everywhere, just that little harmonica and my band has taken me. And when I get up and play music now at 65 years old, it's still like I'm 16, playing in a band. And I don't think when you play music live, you ever age.
Riverside is home for Piazza. In his heart, he is never far away.
Victoria Avenue or whatever, the trees, the whole history of Riverside is just something that's ingrained in me. And I've stayed a lot of other places, in my career for a short time, but I've always, for some reason, wanted to come home to Riverside. Maybe part of it is knowing where everything is here, having a lot of friends, and I don't know, it's just a feeling of everything about this city is me.
In 2017, Rod Piazza was honored twice in the same day by both the Riverside Board of Supervisors and the Riverside City Council. He was recognized for being a native Riversider that made a significant contribution to music by championing the musical genre known as the West Coast Blues. The music is a hybrid type of blues influenced by jazz and jump blues, with strong piano-dominated sounds and jazzy guitar solos. When Rod accepted the 2 awards, he was accompanied by daughter Maya. In 2020, Rod Piazza and the Mighty Flyers took their first extended break from performing due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2021, they resumed their concert performances, but are now semi-retired, generally limiting their appearances to locations close to the Inland Empire. As Rod and Honey Piazza approach their 50th year of musical collaboration, Honey explained their longevity when she said in a Blind Pig Records interview, "We do everything together. We're just best friends, and that's why it worked out. We're not husband and wife, we're best buddies." Of his partnership with Honey, Rod said in an interview with Blues Blast magazine, "It is a special relationship, not only wife, husband, and lovers, but best friends too. We are together all the time, whether we were playing or not. We both have a fairly even temperament, know when to back off or stand up. We both have a common goal, to pursue our love of blues music and follow in the footsteps of the people we loved. For Honey, it was Otis Spann. For me, it was Little Walter and George Smith. That was our lifestyle. I don't think we have changed at all.
John and Chuck from Kareeta, welcome to the Lo-Fi Lounge. You're drinking coffee, and you had this album.
Yeah.
Nebraska. Tell me about your relationship to this album.
Oh man.
Chuck.
My daddy broke his back for a farmer's pay. When a man ain't worn a collared shirt in damn near 15 years, he ain't headed for the hills the first loud poppy years. So Mr. Tonight, remember I was raised up in that dirt where we don't count no buttons on our shirt.
Hello, welcome back to my shelf. Just like last time, I'm going to grab a few samples from here to share with you. We're in the other part of our lo-fi studios, which is my house, and my albums are over there, and then behind me is sort of this place where I have a rotating set of the arts, multimedia that I pull from to get ideas. So since it's getting towards Halloween, I was going to start with Stephen King's Dance Macabre. It's a really great picture there. Nice beard. Of his essays about just the nature of horror and how it plays out culturally through America, starting back with the radio. It actually starts with him in 1957, but he's watching Earth versus the Flying Saucers, and he says that was his first true terror as a kid. And he moves through the radio on into film and through literature. One particular area I like is when he talks about other horror writers, but zeroes in on Shirley Jackson and The Haunting of Hill House, and talks about that first paragraph. The way that book starts off is he believes it's the most terrorizing paragraph that started any American novel, and it is. You buy the book and read the paragraph at least. He also goes through scariest films ever made. So let me just list some of the ones to see if you agree. And they're not a bunch of slasher things. These are things of true terror. He's got Wait Until Dark. Think about that one. Halloween, Psycho, Coma, Looking for Mr. Goodbar, Alien, The Haunting, Midnight Express, The Bad Seed, Night of the Hunter. If you haven't seen that Robert Mitchum movie, it's him at his just pure scary best. Night Watch, Night of the Living Dead, George Romero, how can you lose? The Birds, Dementia 13, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, I Bury the Living, Macabre, The Man with the X-Ray Eyes. I remember Ray Milland. That was just a spooky, especially when he takes his glasses off at the end. He's got a marble-like eyes. The Omen, Deliverance. But his book is dedicated to what terror really means. So just get the book and read it, because it's fascinating. Another sort of cultural history piece. This is by Susan Tyler Hitchcock. He's got a lot of Frankenstein going on here. And it's called Frankenstein, A Cultural History. She goes from the very creation of the, that challenge with Lord Byron and Mary Shelley, and they're hanging out in this villa. They read some spooky stories and they challenge each other to create their own. Byron didn't get much off the ground, but Polidori, one other person who was there, created Vampire, which ended up being Dracula later on. But the killer, one of the greatest works of fiction in the field, is Frankenstein. And what Hitchcock does is, again, trace it from these early days and how science was evolving during that era, how it moves, across Europe into the United States, and then how it's reborn, and in the Frankenstein film, and about Boris Karloff and how it moves into comic books. Where Frankenstein is an intellectual horror story, and she finds places for it to go across a wide public. So I'm afraid of everything. So I sort of stopped with ghost stories and gothic works. This almost a silent film was by Carl Dreyer. It's called Vampire. It came out in 1932, and it uses sound in a very unusual way, but it's a dense series of images, and the basic plot is there's a person who's kind of a fan of the occult, and he's in Paris, and he goes out into the woods, and he finds this village, and it's a very, very spooky inn that's inhabited by vampires, and he's none too wise about it and how he gets involved in stark black and white. When you enter into this film, it slows you down to its pace, and you're released at the end, and you don't really know how long you've been there. If you want to see maybe a horror film, a ghost story, a vampire film that you haven't seen, but it's as scary as anything you're gonna drop into, let's do this again.
Shape I'm in, I can't say I ain't pretty and my legs are thin. Don't ask me what I think of you, I might not give the answer that you want me to. Now when I talked to God, I knew he'd understand. He said, stick by me and I'll be your guiding hand. Now would you believe that? We don't believe that. So don't ask me what I think of you. I might not give the answer that you want me to. Well, oh well.
Welcome to the Lo-Fi Lounge, and with my favorite librarian, right? With Rebecca. So how you doing, my friend?
Things are good. What's new and exciting music-wise? There's a yearly show called Vomitorium, which sounds like such a disgusting name. It's the day before Thanksgiving every year. This is the 26th annual. My friend Dean Falcone puts it together.
Okay.
And this year it's the 60s. And I'm lucky I get to be a vomette, which is a vomitorium backup singer. And the toughest song we have is by the Cowsills.
Okay.
It's the Cowsills version of Hair. And it has some crazy harmonics going on.
And where do you put this on when you do this show? Where do you do it?
There's a great club in New Haven called Cafe 9.
Oh,
And they call it the musician's living room. It's packed. It's a teeny little used to be an old man bar, you know, where they sell the pickled eggs and on the counter there on the bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now it's a rock and roll bar, and it's been that way for 26 years at least. And Kevin Day and I have performed there together.
What do you have for us today?
One book that's called Two Little Witches: A Counting Story by Harriet Ziefert and Sims Tabak. And what's great about this book is it's a cumulative story. These two little witches go trick-or-treating, and at each door they pick up a new guest to their trick-or-treating parade.
Oh, okay.
So it's getting bigger and longer and longer and longer. And I won't give away the ending.
Oh.
And this book was illustrated by Sims Tabak, who won the Caldecott for a different book. And the Caldecott Award is like the Academy Award of Children's Literature.
Yeah.
And the other book I brought for you is a cat book.
Here we go.
It's called Los Gatos Black on Halloween. And this book was written by Marissa Montes and illustrated by Yuyi Morales. And this book won a couple of awards. It won the Caldecott, not the Caldecott. This one won the Pura Belpré Award for outstanding literature that portrays the Latin experience. I guess now it would be Latinx experience.
Yeah.
And it also won the writing award for Pura Belpré.
Oh.
Pura Belpré was, well, I don't want to get off topic, but she was Hispanic librarian, children's librarian in New York Public Library, and she was famous for her puppet shows. And she wrote some books too. But what I like about this book, it's in Spanish, but it's not about Dia de los Muertos. It's separate. It's Halloween that just happens to be in Spanish. It's also a truly scary book. I'll say most children's books about Halloween aren't all that scary. This one involves graveyards, zombies,
Oh, wow.
vampires, werewolves. It's truly frightening.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, incredible illustrations. And I think I'm not an expert, but I know one of the scariest of all time stories to tell is La Llorona.
Oh, yeah.
And that one is also Latinx. That's the wailing woman.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I recommend this book, Los Gatos Black, on Halloween, and Two Little Witches. Now I have a story to tell you. Once upon a time, there was a little witch, and she was walking through the woods, and it was very windy. And she was worried because winter was coming and she had no place to go to be warm. Well, wouldn't you know, a piece of orange paper fell at her feet, and she picked it up and she said, I can make a good house out of this. So she folded it, and she always had a pair of scissors on hand. She said, my house needs a roof. So she took her scissors and cut herself a roof. Now she had a house, but she couldn't get into it. So she took her scissors and she cut herself a door. Well, she tried to get into the door, but she wouldn't fit because of her tall, pointy hat. So she took her scissors again and added a point to her door. She went inside, but she ran back out because it was too dark in there and it frightened her. So she said, my house needs a window. So again, she took out her scissors and cut a square this time and made herself a window. So now she had a house with a window and a door that she could fit through. And she went inside, and it was so warm and she was so cozy that she almost fell asleep. But then she heard outside somebody crying, boo, boo, hoo, 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 boo, hoo, hoo, boo. She went outside and she saw a ghost. And she said, little ghost, why are you crying? And the little ghost said, it's getting to be winter and I have no place to keep warm this winter. And she said, don't worry about that. You can just move in with me. I'll even make you your own ghost-sized door. And the two of them stayed warm all winter and they lived happily ever after. Happy Halloween.
How cool is that? Well, thank you, Rebecca. I've just
My pleasure.
enjoyed talking to you so much. Let's do it again.
Okay, let's do it again.
Okay, cool. Bye, my friend.
Bye-bye.
New album from The Dangers is called Heaven.
One more notch. I do want to get rain and come and bang. Down on sides by the construction man. Heard the ring tree man, get to the step side to make some women's construction man. With about half the girls sings on the side. I know who I am. Yeah, I do a little rain and come and bang. Down on sides by the construction man. That's why they call me the construction man.